On this episode of the Culture Smash Cast,
the internet trolls finally get what they want. The Zack Snyder cut is coming out.
Furiosa casting possibilities, nothing to get mad about.
And canceled! It's the Culture Smash Cast, episode 524 for May the 20th, 2020. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of CultureSmash.tv. Nico?
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
Nathan?
Nathan Savino, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
Tina?
Tina Heimbach, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
Zach?
Zach Martin, bored off his ass.
And Michelle.
But you're on your ass.
That's true.
Hi, Michelle of CultureSmash.tv.
There you go. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Got my traditional Moscow Mule or Tennessee Mule.
Very
Got
jealous.
the Four
Very
Roses
jealous.
whiskey happening. Zach, got Four Roses
Very
in
jealous.
here.
All right.
Very jealous.
Wait, hold on. Four Roses is Kentucky bourbon.
That's right.
Very,
You're
very
right.
jealous.
So I got
So
the
it's
Kentucky Mule.
Yeah.
It's a Kentucky Mule today. Yeah.
I was
I
like, why
decided-
is it a Tennessee mule?
Yeah. If I'm mixing it up and like putting it in with stuff, I decided to reserve the bullet just a little bit because the Four Roses by itself is not as good as the bullet to me.
Mm.
So what's everybody been up to since last we talked? Anybody doing anything good?
I finished reading The Splendid and the Vile, which is a nonfiction about Winston Churchill, basically his first 2 years in office as Prime Minister during the London Blitz. So I finished that up, and I am now on to Midnight in Chernobyl.
So you ran out of
Yes.
Somanex then, or melatonin. You needed just
No.
Now that book is supposed to be really, really good.
The Splendid and the Vile. I love Eric Larson because instead of it coming off as reading like a fucking report,
Yep.
like most nonfictions do, especially for that kind of topic, he adds personality and character to his actual narration, so it's easy to read.
Cool.
So,
Can I just ask a question?
yeah.
Okay, so I have The Devil in the White City, and I have trouble reading it because he is a really great writer. He'll start on something, then he'll switch to something, and he goes off on a tangent, which is interesting. It's almost like there were 5 books in one book. I think it was to try to give you a full, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. For that one, because it's more broad of a topic, whereas this
Sure.
one is focusing on just Winston Churchill and the immediate people around him.
okay.
Whereas Devil in White City is focusing on 2 or 3 different things over the course of the book.
Okay.
He does temper that in The Splendid and the Vile.
Okay, thank God. Okay, so maybe I'll read it. Okay.
So it sounds like we know what Tina's been doing. What does that leave you to do, Nico?
I actually also finished reading a book over the weekend called The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
I got that recommended to me, but I'll talk more about that in a second.
It's
Cool.
actually not a guidebook, so
Is it good?
Oh, that's
false
just in case you were
advertising.
wondering.
It is good.
I like.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a neat book. It's basically about this kind of housewife that's recently joined a book club in the early 90s, and then it turns out there's this creepy guy who moves in the neighborhood who may or may not be a vampire and deals with the after effects about that. It's really weird because Tina and I were in a book club, and this was Tina's recommendation for the book club for the month. And all of the books that the women read in the book club are books that Tina would very likely also read in the book club.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
It's
Tina,
a lot of true crime.
Yeah.
Like there's Helter Skelter, there's In Cold Blood.
Ooh, Helter Skelter's a
that's
good
such a
movie,
good
though.
book. It's a great book and a great movie. I love
Yeah.
that book. Are you gonna read the one about the North Side Strangler? What's her name? Michelle. Patton
Okay.
Oswald's wife.
Jenkins.
Michelle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Patton
So
Is this a confession? Did we
It's
just
like-
break a story on the show?
Broken. Story broken.
I
So we have
know.
to be careful with this rabbit hole because we are time limited.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Nathan,
Can I
tell
just tell you what I started today?
what did you do?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
I just started the new Hunger Games book, the prequel.
Oh, there's new books?
Ooh,
Yeah,
how is
Yeah,
it?
Songbirds,
Just
one,
came
yeah.
out
Songbirds and
today,
Snakes. Yeah.
yesterday.
Oh, interesting.
I
They're going to do a
decided.
movie on it too, right?
I don't know.
The answer is yes. I'm sure. they will.
Probably.
In the
Let's be
long term,
honest,
yes.
Probably. There are two versions of the original 3 books. There's the original version of it in audio, and that person who reads it's horrible. And then there's a second version with the actress who was in that show where she had a bunch of clones.
Black
Do you know what I'm
Mirror?
talking? Yeah,
Orphan Black?
Orphan Black.
Okay.
So that girl did, and I have to say, I highly recommend that one. In this new one, in this audiobook of the prequel, the Ballad of, I can't remember the rest of it.
The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yes. It's a famous guy, Santino Fontana. Not a great narrator at all. And the story is interesting. I'm halfway through it, but the narrator's not good. But
Okay.
the book, I think, is good.
So
far.
that timing is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and I was going to send it over to Nathan, but let me go ahead and go since we're on books because this has been the week of Steven. If one more like reasonably good thing happens this week, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket.
Do it.
But you know how you like sometimes you like find an old wallet and there's a 20 in there that you didn't like have or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that kind of happened today because I got an email from Audible that said, by the way, you have 12 credits that are going to expire in June. You should probably get some books.
What?
Yeah, I
So-
saw you post that, and I was like, I know
I
people
did
who
too.
will murder you for those.
So
Same.
I've been grabbing a bunch of books. I grabbed some film books today. Anybody here? I know that there's at least 2 people here who know who Don Coscarelli is, the director of Phantasm and Bubba Hotep. He has a memoir out that's half memoir, half indie filmmaking in a box, like school, like education on his experience. So I'm excited to actually read that one. It sounds really interesting. Yeah, I got some sci-fi books. I grabbed some horror books. I got Stephen King's last 2 books. I still have 3 credits left to spend, so I might actually grab that prequel. That
I'd just like to say to get The Expanse.
Yeah, I probably should. Although I feel like some of it will be spoiled for me because I've been watching the show so aggressively.
Nope.
Like I'm so caught up.
No.
All right. Well, then maybe because that kind of story is what I like in science
God,
fiction. I
love
like
it.
either like
Does anybody else read The Expanse or watch the show? Because if you
No,
don't,
not yet.
the show's great.
amazing.
The show is really good. It took me a while to get to
my
it, but it's
God.
actually really good. So on top of that, though, so that's today. The other thing is work started flowing back in this week, so I'm happy. I'm starting to get gigs again. Thank God. So do you remember that stack of Arrow Video releases I showed you guys that I got? Those really nice Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So it took me 2 months to get those because the company screwed up and I don't know what happened with the mail. And they were like, we had to work it out. I finally got them. Well, Monday I got them again, another box of them. So I contact the company because my conscience, and I let them know, and they mail me back, and they're like, oh, Corona and postage, it's not worth it to us. Just keep them.
Wow.
So half of them are already sold on Macari. So Steven's buying a bunch of Blu-rays this week with all that money. So it's been a good week. It's been a really good week for me.
It's been a very good week for you.
Zach, what's going on with you? What have you been up to?
So I guess the highlights of my week, outside of working and just the monotony of it all, I got to watch The Last Drive-In, which we'll go into later. And at our apartment complex, we finally have a washer dryer room thing now.
Oh, did you have to go off-site for washing and
Yes,
drying?
yeah, because the one we had burned down.
That's right.
And-
When your apartment
Burned
complex caught
down?
fire. Yeah,
it
their
burned down.
complex caught fire. Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
basically
yeah.
like now it costs like $6 to do laundry instead of like 13. So it's like,
Where do you
yeah.
live?
Awesome. Yes.
Nice.
And then outside of that, I got tested for COVID, so that's not fun.
Are you okay?
Yeah, because they have to get like way back in there, don't they?
No,
Like,
they
have
don't. No, that's one version. The one we did was it was just you take something and shove it up your nose just past the point of really uncomfortable and just rub it around in there. Rub it around for like 20 full seconds, and it's awful. All right, time for
And-
the other nostril.
In other words, they bumped your brain.
Oh my! No, it wasn't a brain bump, but it was like it was done in our car, and my leg was just kicking. It was not
Yeah.
pleasant.
It looks very unpleasant to do.
It wasn't the one where they shove it like all the way back, but it was still just like. I haven't even had my coffee yet. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
All right. I hesitate to ask this because I already know the answer. Nathan, what about your week?
I mean, I had allergies and I was in bed for like 2 days. But
And you
other
just
than
turned
that,
into a baby.
I turned into a baby. I watched RuPaul's. I worked out. I drank.
We're still watching 24, even though he's behind.
I'm behind by like 7
Nice,
episodes.
nice.
It's okay.
Yeah, we're blowing through it. All right, so let's get into the stories. We got some cool
Well,
stuff to
real
talk
quick,
about.
Steven, I put a recommendation that you might like, a book recommendation in the chat for you.
Okay, cool. I'll just get it if you're recommending it because I mean I've got to spend these credits and it's awesome because I'm gonna have a lot to read over the next month or two.
Oh, did you ever read The Disaster Artist?
No,
Oh, whoops.
not really that interested.
Spoilers, they made The Room.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why I'm not that interested. I just feel like that's a media thing. It's like a movie thing. I just like to keep it there. All right. So let's get into the stories.
All right. Warner Brothers announced today that the Zack Snyder cut version of Justice League will finally make its debut on HBO Max. 2 years ago, Justice League opened in theaters to very lackluster fanfare. It was in, however, fans have been clamoring for a so-called. Okay, you just put a screenshot there. That's Mad Max. That is not Justice League, Steven.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Steven, are you professional or not?
Not really.
Release
Yeah.
the Steven cut.
Okay.
This is the Steven cut. This is the problem.
It is. That's the problem.
Okay, so back there. Ever since Justice League came out, fans have been clamoring for a Snyder cut of the film. Director Zack Snyder left the project late in production after the death of his daughter. Avengers director Joss Whedon picked up with reshoots and the final editing of the film. However, doing that, he still forewent a director credit. He did not claim that he is the director of the film. The credits do not list him as a director.
And why
However,
would you want that?
Yeah, because it's garbage.
However, ever since the movie released, news has been that a Snyder Cut is a thing that exists, a true version of the movie Justice League, which has been permeating around the internet ever since then for these 2 years, including with concentrated online campaigns from the Justice League stars themselves, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa, Ben Affleck. The Hollywood Reporter has said that the Snyder Cut may be released as an extended 4-hour cut or 6-episode episodic releases. Sources say that it may
I just say screw that.
Yeah.
It's
Sources
a
say
movie.
it may end up costing an extra $20 to $30 million on top of the original budget.
Damn.
The upcoming HBO Max streaming service is already going to have a big slate of DC content, supposedly a Green Lantern series, a DC Superhero High series, a Strange Adventures anthology series, also supposed to have DC movies, and also bringing over some of the stuff from the DC Universe streaming system, like Doom Patrol, which will be available on both the DC Universe app as well as HBO Max. So DC Universe is probably going to be sunset relatively soon.
Mm-hmm.
The HBO Max streaming service is set to launch on May 27th, so coming soon, with more than 600 movies. Eventually, it will have original content as well, but those titles have been delayed due to COVID-19.
So I had to give this story to Nico because every one of us has something that just tweaks us on this show, and that has been the bane of your existence since.
I've wanted for this to never be a thing, to ever exist, and unfortunately,
I just want it to be known that the Snyder Cut is probably going to get released before New Mutants.
that's
Yeah,
true.
you're probably right.
That is true.
My 2 cents about this are, one, finally we can have, because even if you hate the film, everyone can agree it's tonally inconsistent.
Yeah.
I would just prefer a tonally consistent version. And I mean, if it's a better version, well, hey, at least you can go to that one. I mean, what's going to be really funny is if everybody goes, "Oh my God, this movie's amazing."
That will be amazing.
Warner?
I would love that to happen.
Like, can you imagine? Like, okay, let's just play. Like, because nobody thought Warner would release this. Because if Warner releases this and it's better, then what does that say about the executives? If it's worse, then you have a worse product out there. I think nobody thought they were going to release it.
I think the worse quality, if it is a worse movie than the original film, I don't think that's going to be too damaging, really, because it's not getting the theatrical release. It's not the main version of the movie. It is a specialty cut. It is a director's cut. The director's cut doesn't have to be better than the theatrical cut. That is what it is. It's a director's cut of the movie. But so, I do, if it is better than, the director's cut, it could be better too. I've just been annoyed at the conversation about the Snyder cut this whole time. It's more than just a regular director's cut of any other film. It is, Zack Snyder couldn't finish the movie. Justice League was mostly his movie, but it wasn't all his movie. Somebody else came in and finished it. And even though Joss Whedon didn't take a director's credit on the movie, I feel like there's enough of him in that movie that kind of justifies him being part of that release. Mm-hmm. And to Zach's point about the tonal differences, I don't know for sure, but I suspect the tonal bits I like in Justice League were Joss Whedon's bits and not Zack Snyder bits.
I kind of agree with that.
Given my opinion of Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice, it's like I don't like either of those movies. And I bet the things I like about Justice League are Joss Whedon.
So this is a win-win because to what you were saying, Zach, what if it's a worse product? That to me just sort of states a problem with the way people watch movies now versus previous generations. Is it's so surface it won't matter. It'll be forgotten. Whether it's better or worse, it'll be forgotten once it's out there. The only thing that's kept it alive is the fact that it wasn't out there. Once it's out there, it'll either be better, it'll be worse, or be the same, and it'll go away in 6 months. But what will happen is curiosity for that first couple of months. It's that sort of Tiger King thing where for 2, 3, 4 weeks, it's going to be like all the shit, and everybody's going to sign up for HBO Max to get a look at it and see. And then that's quick money for them to launch their
I feel like Nathan disagrees with you.
I don't think that's going to be why people are signing up for HBO Max.
That will be not the only reason. That's not the only reason. No.
Yeah, but I don't think people are going to be flocking for this.
People, you just haven't followed this like
I agree.
Stuff that's happened online. There will be a lot of people that will sign up and they take the free trial to see this movie. A lot of people will.
I agree. There will be a lot of people, and there are other reasons to get the service, but it is one of the big tentpole reasons to now get this service that I don't think HBO had as much as, say, when Disney launched Disney Plus, because you have the whole Disney library is kind of captivating on its own just because of how much history everyone has with Disney as a brand. HBO and Warner Brothers has some of that, but it's not quite the recognizable brand that Disney is. having something as controversial as the Snyder Cut right from the get-go is going to, well, not right from the get-go. It's coming out in 2021. It's not going to be at launch.
Yeah, that was the only disappointing part. Was I was like, oh boy, at the end of the month we can finally settle this debate. It's like,
I thought that
oh
too.
no, 2021. It's like,
Yeah, I think I left that part out.
Damn it.
2021 is when this is coming out. So we still have to wait to see if the Snyder Cut is actually as good, better, or worse than the original Justice League, which will be put it about 3 years after the original Justice League came out, and still probably released before New Mutants.
Yeah, right. But this is just a puzzle piece of the whole thing. The other thing is they lock down Friends, and there are people who will go to see Friends.
But yeah, because there was such a huge people that were upset that it left.
Netflix, you know, and then Peacock, NBC is doing the same thing with The Office. So it's a piece of that puzzle of drawing people in that gives them a 3 or 4 week window of people at least signing up for the free trial and hoping that they stick it out.
Isn't HBO now just automatically going to HBO Max?
See, I'm not clear.
Zach, you have
email
info on that, right?
Yeah, I got an email stating it's like basically the app is going to change from HBO now to
Right.
HBO Max. That your credentials already, you can just, but it's, you're already on.
So I don't know how
read
that
that
affects HBO Go, because I use HBO Go.
I was reading that if you have an HBO subscription, you automatically will be getting HBO Max.
Well, that'd be fine.
That's what Zach just said.
Well, no, what Zach said is specific to the HBO Now app. I have a traditional subscription where I have the channel.
It's a traditional channel. If you have the channel, you'll be able to get the. I should have said that.
Well, no, I got it from you, Michelle. Yeah, that makes sense, and I was hoping that that's what they would do.
Does anyone else think that while the HBO brand is a strong brand, people like HBO, if the HBO Max brand for the streaming service is maybe a bit limiting for what is essentially supposed to be the Warner Brothers Disney Plus app?
See, I feel like Warner Brothers is such a generic title. I don't know if people will be able to, the general movie person would be able to tie, too many specific things to it, whereas HBO has always felt premium.
I think my opinion is, since AT&T now owns HBO or Time Warner, the guy who was the head of AT&T when he first bought HBO, his big push, which they really have delivered on, was content. That was his push. He was going to double and triple the content that they had.
I wish they would focus on quality.
No, they're not. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. By focusing on content and having more, they're not going to focus on as much quality that HBO has a tradition of. But it's already begun. You can watch every week. There's something coming out now. So far, like a lot of their docuseries and some of their shows have actually been good. But now that they have HBO Max, I think they're trying to compete with, he said specifically that he was trying to compete with Netflix. And
Everybody is. Yeah.
And everybody is.
But to be fair to me, and this is just an opinion, but in my opinion, the only one of them that's focused on quality is Amazon. Amazon's original programming is, even if it's not my thing, when I look at it, it's good. It might not be for me, but it's quality programming. Whereas Netflix and even to some degree Hulu, I feel like they're just throwing stuff against the wall. Even though Hulu has some really good stuff too.
I think
Nathan, you look like you were in physical pain.
Yeah. I just feel like Netflix has some good quality stuff.
I do too. I do too.
Well,
I think they're improving.
They do.
It's just stuff that you don't watch.
Know that they don't have, all of us, even people who are older, like myself, no one has the attention span anymore. Like if you're not grabbing a person right away, and my example is on Sunday when you all called for the board game thing, I was watching that Hulu show, The Great, about Catherine the Great. It turns out it's a good show.
Yeah.
They have
Would
spent
you
a
say it's
lot of
great?
money. Huh?
Would you say it's great?
I'm saying it's great. It really is. They've spent a lot of money on it. It's irreverent and really funny, but it's also extremely adult. There's a lot of sex in it, but it was
I'm in.
really interesting. But
That's
it's
all
funny.
Steven needed.
Attention
Oh, God.
grabbed.
Wow. Anyway, it's really good. The costumes are amazing. The locations are amazing. And it is like, I think all of those companies realize that if you don't get people's attention, you're going to lose.
So let me clarify my statement really quick, because I didn't say that Netflix doesn't have good things. I watch Russian Doll is really good. Stranger Things has been good. I think it's waning, but it has been good. But I'm talking about in the world of percentages. Like when I look at Amazon, they have much fewer shows, but I would say a good 80% of their stuff is high quality. Netflix has a whole lot more, but maybe 20% is of a high quality, and the rest is a bunch of crap they bought from Canada.
Nathan looks like he just ate a lemon.
It's true. They buy all
for what you watch.
No. I mean quality of show. I mean, I can look at a show and like Man in the High Castle is a show I didn't care for. It didn't work for me.
I couldn't do it.
But it seems like it's a good show. It seems like well written and well acted. It just didn't work for me. Whereas I can look at something and say, oh, these guys, I mean, this is terrible. It's not well acted or produced.
For me, when it comes to TV shows, I'm just going to be honest. I am more willing to take 2 hours and experiment with a movie I've never heard of or done anything for. But when you're saying, well, take 3 hours and test it out on this TV show, I just don't have the patience for it. I'd rather.
Yeah, Mr. 4chan.
No, I mean, seriously, I am just not a TV show person. So it has to be like everyone saying, this show is amazing for me to go, okay, all right, I'll sit down and watch it.
Honestly, Zach, you should watch The Expanse.
So
I'm telling you, if you really
you are like the only
one.
No. I've watched all 4 seasons of The Expanse, but
you really should watch The Expanse.
It took more than half the first season. I had to suffer through it.
I would say like the first 2 episodes. Yeah. You would have to be like,
3 episodes is where I drop.
No.
So
the
3
first
episodes.
All
right. Hey guys, this is a rabbit hole we don't have time for. Let's move on to the next story. Yep.
All right. Well, recently it was revealed that development on the long-awaited Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, now I could put that picture up.
Focused on the character of Furiosa was shifting into a high gear as filmmaker George Miller confirmed that he's set to begin work on it next. However, we also learned that Charlize Theron, who played Furiosa, will definitely not be back to star, given the
don't do it.
Follows the early days of the character. But now we have word on at least one of the actresses that Miller may be considering for the action role. According to THR, Jodie Comer is in the running for the role of Furiosa in the untitled Mad Max spin-off feature. Comer is probably best known for her role as the co-lead in BBC America's award-winning series Killing Eve. The actress has been nominated for dozens of awards for the role, taking home the Best Actress Emmy Award last year, and she has upcoming roles in Ryan Reynolds' big action film Free Guy, as well as one of the leads in Ridley Scott's highly anticipated period film The Last Duel, where she stars opposite Matt Damon, Adam Driver, and Ben Affleck.
Well, we're not going to talk her being cameo in Rise of Skywalker as Rey's mom.
Yeah. Also, I know you said the Last Duel, but it sounded to me like you said the last stool, and I thought, is this like a period shit?
Of course, Comer isn't the only actress that has been named as a possible Furiosa. Back in March, it was reported that Miller had already talked to Anya Taylor-Joy about possibly taking over the role as well. So even though the Furiosa film is expected to be coming soon on Miller's slate, that doesn't mean the film will hit theaters next year. In fact, before he begins work on that film, the filmmaker is set to direct the romance 3,000 Years of Longing, which stars Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba.
Which oddly I want to see.
Yeah, and work on that film can't begin until this pandemic is behind us.
So I just got this message, so I'm trying to deal with it real quick. I feel like it's a mistake to even do this movie. Charlize Theron is not in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
I hated that movie.
Oh my
it.
God.
Wait, what?
Whoa, hold up.
What?
Pause. Please. Okay. We might have
Shall
taken
I
something out of
explain?
context. Please give us full
Please
context
Shall I
explain, because I don't
explain?
agree with that.
before the
I
knives come
went
out.
with one of my friends. She and I both went. She's
My
married
heart.
with children. And we were both like, all right, cool. This is going to be great. And we're sitting there looking at this garbage, this flaming garbage on the
Mute.
screen.
Let me mute.
And we both kept going, what the fuck is this shit? The entire time. And
Oh my
then,
God.
I'm sorry. I don't care. I might be the outlier. It was not a good movie. And then, was it supposed to be a feminist film because she was a female driving a truck? But then you had women with very dewy skin wrapped in linen. I hated this movie. I hated this movie.
For a point of context,
It hurts.
have you seen,
Are
and
you sure
if
your friend
so,
didn't hype you
opinion
up?
on other Mad Max movies?
I have seen, okay, so I loved all of the other Mad Max films for what they were, and I was introduced to them as a teenager. They were great, blah, blah, blah. This was garbage.
Would you say that the action was garbage?
I would
Editing,
say
the cinematography.
action was over the top and
As all Mad
filler,
Max are.
a bad story for lack of story.
We are going to
For
just
lack of
frankly
story,
disagree
They
here.
I'm
There
going to
is-
disagree, and I will take it all on. I don't care. This
There-
was garbage.
Steven, hold me back.
Is now a good time to tell you I haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road?
Don't do it.
We're going to stop this show right now.
I didn't even know
sorry.
that.
With the
Why
women
did I
of
not
this
know that?
podcast.
So-
No,
I'm sorry.
Nico, y'all
I'm
went to
sorry.
go see it while I was at work, and when I
Oh.
got
Tina,
off,
we've
you're
seen
like,
it in
"Oh,
this
we already
theater room
saw
several
it."
times.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
fix that. I will
How
fix
about
that
this?
So,
for you.
so I mean,
Here's
it's so
the
bad
challenge.
that it was nominated for
Tina
Best Picture.
hasn't seen it. So let Tina see it. Don't anyone talk to her about it or try to influence her and see
Well,
what she actually
Okay.
thinks.
Then, Tina,
And
you
next
have to
week,
wait. Tina,
let's see what she has to say.
you have to wait to see it when you're here in the theater room, when you can see it in 4K and Atmos sound.
Yes.
That's how you need to experience that movie.
Okay.
Me?
Apparently
in a
me.
theater.
Oh.
Well, you saw it in the theater, Michelle, and you still
I'm
hated it.
laying down
No,
the
no.
challenge for next week's show that she watch this movie without
I
any
can't by next week.
We
influence.
can't do
I'm
it.
not
We
gonna break
can't.
quarantine.
I was going to say we can't break quarantine yet. So
No,
we
no,
can't do it by
no.
next week.
I'm saying she should watch it on her own.
No.
Without
No.
She needs to see it the same way you did,
She needs to see it
and
in
she
a
can do that
theater.
right here.
Same way
She can
we
do that
did.
here. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Exactly. And because everything that you literally just complained about, there
I
is a
hated it.
very, very specific reason for it. And I would love to do a show just about that because
I will say I was actually
you
upset.
do,
We could spend 2
I am
hours
bringing
on
my
I
this.
will
friend-
say
I'm bringing my friend Brianne on so that we can argue the other side. It was garbage.
Okay,
It's
I
not
will
garbage.
say though, I remember specifically Nico going to see it without me because, and it's gonna be quick because I know we only got 6 minutes before the next
Sorry.
one.
yeah.
But because his theater had Nicole Kidman and Carl Urban sitting
Keith
right
Urban.
behind
Keith
him.
Urban, yeah.
Keith Urban. There you go. And some of our friends were making fun of Nicole Kidman's outfit because it was garbage. So I was like, you
See,
son of a
Wait a
bitch.
You know
minute.
what my weird thing about that is I just wanted to go up to her after the movie and ask if that was actually what Australia was like.
Right. I will just end this before we end this show and just say, it was
It's good to have time. We need to cool down.
Oscar nominated film.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oscar nominated for
phoned
director.
in phoned
This
in
was Best Picture.
Oscar-nominated film.
Winner of Best
Phoned
Editing.
in.
Winner of Best Editing.
Winning
Only
Best
film.
Sound.
You know what? And bravo to the editor because he had a nightmare to
Well,
try to
excuse
stitch
me,
this
excuse me.
garbage
All right,
together.
all right.
It was
let's-
his
Steven,
wife.
End it now.
It
End
was
it
George
now.
Miller's.
That's quite the threat.
We're back. Because you already had me sucking the ice in this cup. I was so wound up.
All right, let's
Yeah,
change
that's it.
topics. We don't want to tread that ground again.
Okay.
All right, I think Zach has the next story.
All right. So, Italy's cinemas are getting back to business on June 15th. Specifically, the government announced Saturday as it outlined a overall easing of lockdown protocols in what the initial epicenter of the European continent's coronavirus outbreak. As a side story to this, I also read something that cinemas in Japan are opening back up as well, and they're showing classics like Ben-Hur and Blade Runner and movies like that.
Yeah.
The Italian Prime Minister on Saturday said, "We're facing a calculated risk with the awareness that the contagion curve could rise again." But he also noted concern over a severely damaged economic and social structure, saying the country could not afford to wait for a vaccine. So essentially, shit's opening back up. When will this happen in America? That's a great question. I am actually willing to make a bet and say that American theaters are like, oh, we're going to open back up with Tenet. Tenet's going to be the one.
I don't think so.
I'm willing to bet $5 right now.
I think it's going to be
Tenet
state by
movies.
state.
The problem is kind of what Nathan just said, I think, is in Italy, they can declare it across the country. Here, it's different days in every state. So nothing, I would think that the theaters will probably stay closed in this country until they're able to open in every state.
Yep.
That,
But
you
at
notice
least
some things are
80%.
county by county.
Yeah.
It has to be at least 80%.
Yeah.
So New
I think
York,
it's-
LA are out.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you'll be surprised because I've seen reports that they are saying in California that they can start ramping up production next week or the week after on projects. So it may happen a little sooner than we expect. And I don't know how to feel about that, except that if Tenet comes into the theater, I'll be like suiting up like I'm going to the CDC
I'm
and
going.
seeing that shit in the
Buy
theater.
it and stream
I'm
it.
going.
Yeah.
It's like I will absolutely do it for Tenet. IMAX
Yeah.
only. If it IMAX isn't open, well, sorry, I ain't going.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Amazon to release it for streaming.
And
Yeah, they're
Nathan's
not
trying
going
to
to do
trigger.
that.
So,
Warner Brothers is
Nathan-
not going to do that. If
He's-
anything, they put it on HBO
Nathan,
Max.
did you read the article that I sent?
No.
So now you sent that article way late. The script is already done.
I'm
but
sorry.
I'm gonna just synopsize really quick because I knew this was gonna turn into a thing because some people get really triggered.
Here it comes.
There was an article.
get
No,
really
some people like
triggered.
Michelle and Nathan. You guys get triggered even more than Zach for some reason. Which is kind of- but the synopsis of the article is this:
Thank you, Nathan.
there was a survey done that people answering during Corona, which is now, said that 70% of them said they would see something on streaming versus seeing it in the theater.
Thank you.
Now, what is really funny about that survey is we've had the same survey done about every 5 years for the last 20, and the response has always been about the same. And also what is really funny about that is I was watching, I need to pull that off the shelf actually and show it to you. I got a copy of this movie called Maniac. That's one of the boutique release on 4K. And what is fascinating, I posted a little information on Facebook about it, is that movie was super controversial when it came out. Like it was getting banned. It got banned in the UK. Some theaters wouldn't show it because it's really edgy horror movie.
It's edgy, even for today's standards.
Yeah, even for today, it's really edgy. So the director had put together all these news clips of how people were reporting on it back in 1980. And one of the reports came on and said that theaters had a 10-year all-time low. And because of home video, people were starting to watch movies at home. And 70% of it was the same numbers and same talk in 1980 that is happening now. The only difference is VHS versus streaming. So this is not a new conversation. It's not worth getting tweaked over.
Just wait, Nathan. Just wait.
It's been going for 40 years.
Let him talk.
So it's not new. That's it. And it's not, like I said, it's a survey that we've seen before. It's been done a bunch of times. What?
It may not be a new survey, but we've been forced to do this because of Corona, and what you're going to see is people got what they want, and they're still going to demand after it's over to get what they
Y'all
want.
are still using Trolls World Tour, a kids film, as
Okay, wait. Here's the thing. I don't even want to argue this point anymore because we will see.
I was about to say, wake me up when we've moved on to a different.
Yeah, we will just see. We'll just see. Because there's stuff coming out, like Scoob came out last week. No one's watching.
Yeah,
that.
what are the numbers on Scoob?
Yeah, we'll just see. It's not worth debating now because we've debated.
But they're not releasing anything good for streaming right now.
What are you talking about? These are popular films that would have made
Scoob is
in the
not
theaters.
That would have been
Scooby-Doo is not popular.
Yeah,
Not at all.
So Trolls is popular.
Yes,
more than Scooby-Doo, a 50-year-old IP. No.
Anyway,
moving on.
Anyway, the article is very good. It's very informative.
It's the same conversation that has been.
I'm just saying, please read it. It's a very, very interesting article.
Well, no, it's not. It's a topic that I'm willing to talk about. It's just we're going to run in the same circle we've done the last 3 episodes.
It's fine. But I'm just saying, I posted it to the crew.
Now, what I would find more interesting.
All right. Let's go on. We've hammered this topic for the last, like Steven said, 3 episodes.
Exactly. It's not worth going over and over.
I just want Michelle to be able to finish her topic.
But we're gonna say the same thing.
They will read the article probably after this. It's just by the time by the time that the script was made, your article came out.
I realize it because Variety only put it out this afternoon, late afternoon.
Yeah, I saw it a little before you sent it to me. But I just don't. I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody. I just don't feel like it's not new information. It's the same survey we've done over and over again. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. Is all we're gonna have to do.
Over my dead body.
Let's move on to Nathan's actual story. We want to talk about streaming and TV. Let's talk about this story.
It's really not a story. It's just basically it's that time of year again. 35 shows have been canceled across streaming and traditional TV. Basically, there's all sorts of reasons why things could be canceled: ratings, budget, casting complications, behind the scenes executive decisions. But here are some of the shows that have been canceled.
Not the whole list, thank God.
No, not the whole list. We got Turn Up Charlie off Netflix, Bosch off Amazon, The Purge off USA, Treadstone off USA.
Which I didn't even know was a thing.
Me neither.
Treadstone. And I like that story. I like that boring story, but I didn't know.
Too.
I remember seeing promotion when it came out, but
V-Wars off Netflix.
V-Wars is a vampire thing. That looked fun.
October Faction off Netflix. She-Ra, the Princess of Power off Netflix. Messiah off Netflix.
I don't know if I would say that's the cancel. That one.
Netflix. The Magicians off Sci-Fi. Judge Judy after 25 seasons. Impulse off YouTube. Hawaii Five-0 off CBS. Better Call Saul. AMC.
Really?
Yep.
They're in their final season.
The Crown.
They're finishing it.
Hey, let him finish the list, you guys.
Limetown off Facebook and Sorry for Your Loss Facebook.
So, I think this list doesn't really do a good job of differentiating between finishing a show
in 2020.
like is with Better Call Saul and She-Ra are finished. They're ending.
So the thing is, my only argument with that is if they were blowing it up, they would have been renewed anyway. Better Call Saul is the exception, because that show has been on a while, and I think they had a planned ending for it, if I'm not mistaken. But like some of these others, even Bosch is technically canceled, but they knew it way in advance, so they're going to finish in their next season.
But like you look at like shows like AJ and the Queen, they left it open for more story, and you wanted to know more story. It's just up and canceled. Or like even if you look at like CBS or any of those shows like Hawaii Five-0, those type of storylines, you really can't get a full closure unless you know in advance.
Yeah, and Hawaii Five-O is one of those shows that I only put it here because it's got some nostalgia value, but it's a procedural, so I don't have any investment in that. The ones that are funny to me is, do you guys know about this Limetown show that's on Facebook Watch?
No.
No.
So I wanted to watch this show. It is based on a town in Tennessee. It has it's a supernatural thing, but it has some base in like actual history.
Isn't it based off of a podcast or something?
Yeah, the podcast is about that area, and the
I
show
remember
grew from
that. Yeah.
But the problem is, I never could figure out Facebook Watch. I never could figure out how to watch something on it. So, oh well.
You just go to Facebook and watch it.
I never could find it.
What I will say, one of the ones that I noticed on the list, The Purge off USA. Like
I knew you would notice that.
I watched both of those seasons on USA. I just think it was the wrong platform to have it on. Like I think it would have been better like with sci-fi or even going over to Hulu or Netflix as an original.
Something
because it was different stories. Like, of course, The Purge is a theme.
Yeah.
Like a common theme, but the seasons were completely different, kind of like the movies.
You know what that struck me about that particular show is, though, The Purge trades on violence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they're not going to be able to do the level of violence on USA that you expect.
Well, what they do with that show is they shoot it as they want. They just censor it for TV. If you want to see the full version, buy the Blu-ray. That's what they do.
So this Impulse show, which is on the YouTube Red, I guess is what it's called. I watched some episodes of it because I was watching the Karate Kid thing, which is not very good. It's not. Yeah, it's not that good. But Impulse, it actually surprised me because it looked like a regular streaming show. Like it had that OA, if you know OA from Netflix, it had that look to it, and it was okay, you know. But just I think some of these platforms like CBS All Access, YouTube, and Facebook, I just don't think they have the crowd to support like real, like actual narrative shows.
Was this like an article posted in the podcast or CultureSmash group? Because I want to see the other rest of the 35 minutes.
No, but I can send you the link.
Yeah, I want to see that link because there's one like tonight is the last beginning of the last season of the 100.
That wasn't in the list.
That wasn't on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the 100 is not on the list.
This is after this, it's done.
Yeah. I hear good things about October Faction. Haven't seen it, but I hear good things.
And then we should acknowledge Judge Judy. Thank you, Judge Judy.
Thank you, Judge Judy, for 25 years.
But she has a different show coming out.
Is it like a talk show or something? Probably.
Kind of. So she's not like done.
Yeah. All right. Well, that makes sense. But I mean, I guess she's done her deal with Judge Judy. All right. So if you were into any of these shows, Bosch, by the way, had a really great current season. I just finished it a few weeks ago. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's based on a series of books that are really, really good.
Never watched it.
So, you know, I don't like procedurals generally because it's a story of the week thing, and it doesn't. I don't feel like I have to be invested in the show because it's a different story every week. But the thing about Bosch is he is a cop, and it's a cop story, but it's one major case for the whole season. So it's spread out. It's got cliffhanger endings. It's a little more, to me, investable. I like that one quite a bit. So this has been a great week for physical media also, if you want to pick something up. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War is out on Blu-ray and 4K. Sonic the Hedgehog is out on Blu-ray and 4K. Emma, hey, you know what? You don't have to spend the $20 to buy a ticket to Emma and watch it on Amazon Prime. You can get the actual copy of it now. Top Gun is out on 4K. My review is up on CultureSmash.tv. It is a beautiful transfer. It is a beautiful 4K. The Good Place, the complete series. I also just wrote my review of that. Spoilers on that. It's painfully cute, and I didn't like it that much. It's just okay. War of the Worlds 4K, also a very nice 4K. That one's coming soon. The Blues Brothers 4K Steelbook. I will acquire this one.
Oh crap! I need to pick that up.
Yeah, same. Days of Thunder on 4K. The special note on the Days of Thunder 4K, though, is it does not have a Blu-ray pack-in. It's only 4K and digital.
I mean, there's been a Blu-ray release in the past.
Well, the Blu-ray's been out for a long time, but Paramount has a spin-off label that they're doing now for like premium releases on Blu-ray, which is called Paramount Presents, and Days of Thunder is in the Paramount Presents line. So that's how you get that 4K. Onward, the physical copy of that is out this week. Mandy is out in a steelbook if you want to waste your money in your life. Danger Diabolic is out. That's like old school. Paramount Presents Flashdance. That's one of their new ones. The Boy 2 is out. You want to waste 2 hours. I did. Selena is out, which is that's the movie that kind of started Jennifer Lopez's career. And The Way Back, that's the Ben Affleck sports movie. All that's out on physical media this week. So this is an exciting week.
I like how Nathan has his phone in the camera.
Right? Yeah. How rude. So this is a banner week, though, because we get what back?
We get comics.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. First week in 2 months that we've actually had new print media comics released. Not everything is back. Marvel hasn't released their print books yet, but DC and other publishers have. If you want to look at some notable books this week, we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer from Boom Studios, issue 14. Justice League, issue 44 from DC. Ludocrats, which is first issue, number 1 of 5 from Image Comics, written by Kieran Gillen. Red Sonja, number 15 from Dynamite. And you can find more online. Again, more will be coming out later. Marvel, again, hasn't released their books yet. They're probably going to be another week or two behind.
So,
but, yeah,
what would you say is your pick for this week?
I really have heard good things about the Red Sonja book written by Mark Russell, so I want to check that out at some point. And Buffy seems pretty good, so I would probably go with Buffy or Red Sonja. If you want to start something new, that Ludocrats book is Kieran Gillen's a fantastic writer, and it's only a 5-issue miniseries, so that's a pretty good pick.
Okay, cool. I'm excited books are back. But you said Marvel is coming back next week.
About a week or two. I don't remember if they're coming back next week or the week after, but they are soon, and they're going to have June books as well.
That'll be my jam right there.
Yep.
All right, so as we bring this to end, let me bring up a wonderful picture of Michelle as we talk about Mad Max.
Just saying, like...
Triggered.
Yeah, because she hates
totally
it.
Fine.
He wasn't triggered.
Okay, all right, let's not rehash that. Let's not rehash the Mad Max argument.
I'm fine.
Right.
I said my piece.
Did you say your piece? Okay, good.
She said her piece.
All right, Nico, where do we find you on the internet, sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Nico Scream, NIKOSCREAM, and posting the comic list again back on CultureSmash.
Awesome. Tina?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter under CheddarPopper, CheddarPoppr. I swear I'm going to post my books. I just have so many that I need to catch up on posting.
Love it. Nathan?
You can find me on Instagram at Nate_R_70. You can also find me rewatching Mad Max.
Bad.
Zach?
You can find me on Instagram. I am Master of the Matrix 91. You can also find me on Discord as well as Steam. I am a dangerous mute lunatic, specifically number 3064 on Discord. But you can also find me on Friday nights watching The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs.
Nice.
Because
Michelle?
y'all need to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to get there. Michelle, you got something, a link you want to share, talk about?
You can find me on Facebook. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of hard to find, but you can find me on Facebook. And then on Instagram, it's Nick J Hair. Yep.
So find me at All Things Culture Smash. I've got a lot of reviews that are going up over on CultureSmash.tv. It's Cool. I got the 4K of Maniac. That one's up now. I got a 4K of Lucio Fulci's Zombie. That one will be going up tomorrow. The next day, like I said, The Good Place, all the Tom Cruise stuff from Paramount. There's a lot of things up there right now. So that's a good place to look. And then Off the Shelf Movie Night on YouTube. I've been posting videos of pickups and different things. I'm doing a lot of trading on Mercari because we're not going out to buy things. So there's a lot there. So let's bring this thing to an end. I guess we'll see everybody next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.